Hi everybody, welcome to Weekly Talk. Another awesome day. We're grateful to God for His mercies that are new upon us every day. Every day above the ground this day is enough to say, Father, thank you. Thank you for your grace and mercy upon all of us. As I was meditating this morning, I heard a word. It says the force of wickedness. And I was wondering the force of wickedness. So as I was meditating more, I was quickly reminded, according to those who want references, Ephesians 6, chapter 2, verse 12. I'll talk about verse 12, but you can read the whole. It says, for we do not fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Some of them say spiritual rulers of dark forces. So we are not fighting, but these days our fight has become more with flesh and blood rather than not flesh and blood. And I wondered, is it because we don't understand that the word of God is yes and amen? It may not, you're thinking it may not work for you, so we don't trust it. So we take matters in our own hands to do it the best way we know how, thinking God will not be able to do it the way we want. It is a lack of understanding that makes us take that kind of authority and decide to deviate away from the word of God. He says, for we do not fight against flesh or against principalities. So as I was meditating principalities, look at coronavirus. Coronavirus is exactly like a spirit. Why do I say that? You don't see it. It's not a person that you can attack. You don't see it. The virus is somewhere. It attacks you in the air by sneezing, by touching your face. So we all now are even scared to touch our faces. The fear of dying has consumed all of us. That people do stupid things these days under the name of coronavirus. I'm not saying we should be stupid, we should be foolish, but there is wisdom in doing everything. Seek the wisdom from God and not from man. But yet we will keep the rules of coronavirus. Wash your hands, wear mask, and do all that we will quickly do. Just because God has a compassionate heart and He gives us His rules that we don't keep, doesn't mean He cannot be worse than coronavirus. When I read the manual of life, I get scared. You know, when you read the books of Numbers, you would see how in one day 3,000 people were taken away, not by Satan, by God, because of murmuring and grumbling, because of the abominations in our heart. So we know the world had fallen from the beginning, from the foundations of the world. We need to cooperate with the rulers of the forces for that force to increase. Same as we need to cooperate with the rulers of light for the light of God to work. Depending on which side we do, we would see the manifestations. Sometimes when good people stay quiet, bad people excel. And it makes it feel as though God is not working. But God is waiting for all of us. For all of us to stand and take our positions. For all of us to transform ourselves and seek Him for that understanding and seek Him for that direction. But if we're not doing it, if we decide to be lukewarm, He says He'll spit us. So He'll leave you with the rulers of dark forces. And I was wondering, how do these things originate? You know, it usually starts from a young age. When you're a child, you do the one and the two odd things, and you're not told off, you're not corrected. By the time you get to an adult age, if you get there, that monster makes you kill somebody in broad daylight with no remorse. With cameras going on, there was no remorse. It was like a movie somebody was acting. But the sad thing was somebody died and they never woke back. They didn't get up. What happens? A force of wickedness, of darkness consumes somebody to do something like that. You may think, oh no, definitely, this cannot happen to me. I cannot do that, and I cannot do that. Let's just go practicalities. That job that somebody has been promoted, you know you're not qualified for it, but yet you go from one place to another seeking for that person to be eliminated because you want that position and because you've seen how much the person is getting paid. I was reminded, or somebody sent me a story that I read on my WhatsApp. Two friends were together. One won a lottery to travel to the States, and the other one was so jealous of the friend, but the friend never knew. On the day he was leaving, he only told the best friend. He came and he offered him food and he took it. promised him everything. He was going to make sure the friend joined him. On the flight, he remembered, oh, my friend gave me something, and as he ate it, he was unwell. By the time he gave the mother, due to the excitement for the poor mommy traveling, that she'd never traveled before, the excitement and the fear, she couldn't eat. But by the time they got to America, the guy was severely sick. And the long story was he ended up in hospital and he died. And the autopsy found out the food he ate was poisoned by the friend. When the friend was doing that, what force commanded the friend to do that? Talk about the business you want to start. The business you know that you want to start. Yeah, you're starting and somebody is sabotaging every way that you don't succeed. What force? Knowing you yourself you don't want to do the business. Take an example of a marriage. Two happy people are struggling with life to make, yet the wife is convinced by a force comes in and convinces her to now start looking out and destroy her home. Or the force convinces the husband to start looking out. By the time he looks 2, 3, he's got 2, 3 girlfriends. By the time he realizes he's starting a new family outside. And regretting after. What force did that to you? You know, we can all regret afterwards. But we're reminded by the manual of life. It says, resist the devil and he would flee. It's in our resistance of darkness. It's in our resistance of all the dark forces of this world that they will move away. If you don't resist, it will come for you and it will conquer you. Because when you don't have something you stand on, when you're standing on something, when they come, you will recognize them. But if you're not standing and you think you have the power in your own ability, they'll always defeat you. It's guaranteed because he already understands. He's very sneaky. The forces of this world are so sneaky. By the time you realize, you have compromised your conduct, your character, and your integrity. When we understand that, recently I was watching the news, it's become a race thing, it's become a war thing. There is a force, a dark force that is happening behind all of that. When we all understand it, Oprah did a documentary years back, I watched it, I can't remember when. They took money and gave to this homeless man to see whether the money was going to change him. The homeless man got the money. The first thing was he hired a hotel. He stayed in the best hotel, bought himself a truck, bought his girlfriend a truck, and started buying things that he'd not eaten for a while. 8 months down the line, he was broke with nothing to show for, and he was back where he started. The thing was his mindset was not transformed. We all need that transformation of our mindset to move to bigger and better type of people. None of us came on earth with land. None of us came on earth with houses. None of us came on earth even with the money. We'll leave everything here the day you're called. Find out from everybody who's gone through COVID-19 how much they took with them. So why are we fighting each other? Why are we sabotaging and killing each other in one form or the other? Because of the greediness of our hearts. Yesterday I was watching something. I'll leave you with this. Yesterday I was watching something that really blessed me. The animal kingdom. The lions were trying to eat the elephants, the baby elephant. But once the elephants knew that the lions were after them, they just put an edge of protection around the baby elephant. All the elephants came around and kept a protection. The lions couldn't. So they retreated back. And I looked at it, wow. If animals can do that, what is happening to mankind? Why can't we support one another and elevate one another to become better? Once the danger had gone, they continued their way and moved, and the lions went back and to try another day. Just like Satan will leave you today to try another day, because we're reminded in the book of life. When you understand that, you would live a purpose life. You will understand you came here for a reason and for a purpose. It is your transformation of our minds, our thinking, our actions will take us to the purposes in which we are created for. If you cooperate with God, you get to where you were created for. If you cooperate with Satan, of course you will receive your rewards to what you are looking and doing. Satan will never supply you what God can give you. Satan will give you the basic glory as well as God can, but his glory can never be more than God's glory. If we understand that, my darling brothers, we'll transform our mindsets, think differently, and believe on the God who created you to open bigger and wider doors for you. For the plans He has are plans of good and not evil, not to kill you, but to give you an amazing end. He didn't say you wouldn't go through problems. He didn't say you will not go through